Hello, it's Dumplet here. Welcome to part 23 of 25 of the College Entrance Test Review. Credits to the review masters for providing me with these items. To continue, item 89. The solution set of 3y plus 2x greater than or equal to 2 does not include points in quadrant, and we have 4 quadrants as choices, obviously. Now, to graph or to find the solution set of this, well, take note that it has a boundary. Since we have a linear inequality, this will be a boundary. So, this will be a shaded region with a boundary which is equal to a line. So technically, just 3y plus 2x equals 2. This line here would serve as the boundary of this graph. Now that is the black line that you see here. Now how do we get this black line? Now I like to get the intercepts. So we cover the y. We cover the 3y here. So 2x equals 2. That's how we get the x-intercept. And you cover the 2x, we get that 3y equals 2. And just get the respective values of x and y. So we'll be able to get that x equals 1 here. And then from this one, we get that y equals 2/3. Now x equals 1 and y equals 2/3. Those will be our two intercepts. So the blue point here and the green point here are the intercepts. And we can use the fact that since 2 points determine a line, we'll have this black line as our boundary. Now, we don't know if it's this region down here or this region up here. So usually we can just use the origin to test. So this red point, if we substitute back into the equation, it will 0, 0 work. Well, if x and y are both equal to 0, we're going to end up with 0 plus 0. So 0 is greater than or equal to 2. Now this is false. So we know that the origin is not a solution. So if the origin is not a solution, then what we have to do is, if the origin is not a solution, then this part down, the shaded part is not down here, but instead up here. So this will be the shaded region. Now, if the top part is the shaded region, there will be a solution in quadrant 1, there will be a solution in quadrant 2, and there will be a solution in quadrant 4 over here. So the only quadrant that there are no solutions in, is quadrant 3. So we can have choice C for our answer. Now, we can try to do another solution, and that is to find points in each quadrant that will satisfy this. Now, for example, in quadrant 1, now I can use the point 1, 1, and that will satisfy since 3 plus 2, that is indeed greater than or equal to 2. Now, in quadrant 2, I can make x negative 1, and let's just say y equals 10, for example. So 30 minus 2, if you substitute, it's 30 minus 2, and that is going to be greater than or equal to 2, so that's correct. Now, in quadrant 4, I can make it like 10, comma, negative 1. This will be in quadrant 4, and it's going to be negative 3, so negative 3 plus 20. So, well, there's a point in quadrant 1, quadrant 2, and quadrant 4 that satisfies, so it must be the case that quadrant 3 is the quadrant that there are no solutions in. So, technically, we can use just the graphical method or just use elimination method. So, both ways work anyways. Next, find the fourth term of the arithmetic progression, x, y, 2y minus x, and so on. Now, well, we're already given that this is an arithmetic progression. So we know that there is a certain term that we add from the previous term to get the next term. Now we can try to see what's the difference between x and y. So what do I add to x to get y? Now, very simple, just take this term and then subtract it with the previous one. So in fact, we add y minus x. So we add y minus x to x to get y. And from y to 2y minus x, well, obviously it's an arithmetic sequence. So we're also adding y minus x to y. So I'll get 2y minus x from here. Now, so all I have to do is just 2y minus x. And then I will add y minus x. So if I simplify this, 2y and the y here gives me 3y, x and x here, so negative x here gives me minus 2x. So I'll be getting my answer of 3y minus 2x, and this corresponds to choice C. Item 91, for any real number x, we have this. So let me write this down, x minus 3 raised to 5 minus x minus 2 times x minus 3 raised to the 4th power. Now, it's very clear that these two have a common factor of x minus 3 raised to the 4th power. So we can use factoring here. So we can factor this out. X minus 3 raised to the 4th power. So what remains in x minus 3 raised to 5, it's just x minus 3. And what remains in this term, x minus 2 times x minus 3 quantity raised to the 4th, well, it's just this x minus 2 over here. So x minus 3 minus x minus 2. So this will just be equal to x minus 3 raised to the 4th. Now we can simplify this. Let's remove the parentheses. X minus 3 minus x plus 2. So the x's cancel. And the negative 3 and the 2 here adds up to negative 1. So it's just equal to negative 1 times this. So negative of x minus 3 raised to the 4th. And this corresponds to choice C. Now, obviously, there is another way. We can try to use our old friend or our old technique of substituting values for x, since we have a variable answer and we have variable given and answer. So just make sure that, for example, if I can make x equals 1. Now, if x equals 1, well, the first choice becomes negative 1, obviously. The second choice becomes 1 minus 3, so negative 2, and then negative 2 raised to the 4th power. That gives us 16. Now this one is just the negative of that, so that's negative 16. Now this one is negative 5 times 16, so this gives us negative 80. So if x equals 1, I'll have 4 different choices. So I'll just evaluate the given when x equals 1. So let's see what will happen. Now the first term becomes negative 2 raised to the 5th power. So I'm just going to write negative 2 raised to the 5th power. Now minus x minus 2 becomes negative 1. And then x minus 3 is negative 2. We raise that to the 4th power, so it's just like that. Now we're evaluating this, and let's see what this becomes. So negative 2 raised to 5, that's negative 32. Negative, and the negative here makes a positive sign. We're just going to distribute the sign. So plus negative 2 raised to 4, that's 16. So negative 32 plus 16, that gives negative 16. And negative 16 here corresponds to choice C. And this agrees with the answer that just by factoring, you can see that it's going to be this. So then again, you can use factoring or this technique that I've been telling you guys ever since the first question. Now, last 92, which of the following has the same value as I raised to 62? Now, one thing to note about this number I is that if I square it, it's going to be I squared, I cubed, and then I to the 4th power. Now, it's very important to note that the I squared is negative 1, I cubed is just negative I, and then I to the 4th is just 1. And if we continue the pattern, since I to the 4th is 1, so I to the 5th is just I to the 4th times I, so this becomes I. So we have a pattern here. So it repeats every 4. So there's a cycle of every 4 terms. So I, negative 1, negative I, 1, I, and it's expected that the next few terms would be negative 1, negative I, and then 1, and so on. So if I want to simplify I raised to 62, the very first step is just to get the remainder when this 62, or the exponent here, is divided by 4. So we're just going to take 62 and we're going to divide it by 4. Now if I divide it by 4, the remainder is going to be 2. In fact, we could get to be 15 remainder 2. But we only care about the remainder in this case. So I raised to 62, I can write this I squared. Now I squared, that's given to be negative 1, so negative 1 must be the answer. So we have choice B for this item. Hopefully you guys learned something new from this video, and I'll see you guys in part 24. Bye bye!